Welcome to Week in Geek, your new comics preview for December 7th, a date that will live in infamy. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
All right, what do you got?
I have got, I'm going to lead off here with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 of the micro series, Raphael. There's a great cover here by David Peterson, Ferndale native.
Oh, yeah, Mouse Guard.
Mouse Guard. Looks really awesome. Now, he did not do the interiors. The interior art is by Franco Uru, but I believe Peterson's doing the second issue, which is the Michelangelo one.
What defines a micro series? As opposed
Semantics.
to a mini-series? Okay.
Micro is better than mini.
Okay.
I think it's a mini series with 4 one-shots.
Ah, okay.
I think that's how that works. And then maybe they'll all connect, but I don't know, it's a story of Raphael. The artwork looks really fantastic. I've been liking the new Turtle stuff. Doggone it, back on Turtles. I go from turtles to monkeys.
Yeah. It's like the zoo here.
It is kind of like the zoo.
Well, we will have Animal Man later.
It is an Animal Man week.
Yeah.
So I've got Betrayal of the Planet of the Apes #2. I really like the first one. It's a story of young Zaius. And kind of how, obviously, there's a betrayal. They're trying to work some things out with humans. There's a talking human. They try to suppress some things. And that's what sparks a little bit of what you'll see in the first movie, essentially.
All right.
So it was cool. I dug it. The artwork is just amazing.
That's still Gabriel
Hardman, yes. Oh, my God, look at that. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous stuff. Monkeys.
Gorgeous monkeys.
Indeed. Then, you know what? I'm going to save that one later here. Then we've got Justice League International #4. I like this book. I think this book is fun. It's exactly what I wanted out of something like this. You got Booster Gold leading a team of Justice Leaguers, and Guy Gardner sort of not really digging it too much. Yeah. What I enjoy is they have fought. They fought a threat that was a little too big for them, retreated, tried to figure it out. They're not the big gun, and they know it.
Yeah.
Batman's there, Batman's floating around, but they're not the big gun, and they're thrown in the middle of something that's bigger than them. But I like that.
Out of their league.
Oh, hey. Zing, look at you. Then another book here that I've been enjoying is The Punisher. Greg Rucka's The Punisher. I know eventually I'm going to get bored with The Punisher, but I haven't yet. I think the artwork's fantastic. It's not overly gritty. I never really got into the Max because it was gritty, but not even gritty, but ridiculous. Over the top, violent, and nonsensical. This has just got some crime drama grit. Because the Punisher's always a hard pill for me to swallow because he's essentially a serial killer with a skull on his chest. Yeah. That's not a costume. That's not a superpower. But Greg Rucka writes some good stuff. Book that I'm on the fence. It's one of my 52s that I'm on the fence with.
Yeah, I already dropped it.
Stormwatch. I don't care about the Authority.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what I was getting into. I guess I didn't realize that what the Stormwatch had turned into with the Authority. I didn't realize that's what had happened because I didn't read those. I was like, "Where's Battalion? Where's Backlash? Where's everybody? What's going on?" This
is the Authority with Stormwatch's name.
Yeah, and I don't know if I dig it so much. It might be for somebody. I just don't think it's for me. The artwork's fine, but I was waiting for something to happen. Paul Cornell wrote a great story on Action Comics, and we keep saying that. I mean, I know we keep saying that, and that's what's essentially got him, a seat to the table here for me. And
you can only go so far in a great Lex Luthor story.
Yeah, this is true. Then Sweet Tooth, the book that I am honestly a couple issues behind on, but I like this book, and I can't say enough good things about it. The art has been really cool lately. Yeah. I've kind of, like I said, I'm an issue or two behind here. I think I read the first one of this arc. So this is part 3 of 3. The artwork is great. The story is fun. Well, it's not fun. I don't mean to say that. I enjoy myself while I'm reading it, even if it's a bit depressing and odd. Yeah. But I like it. Then Villains for Hire. It is the book that Heroes for Hire turned into, for a miniseries at least. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if Misty Knight's going to have anything to do in here. But I'm willing to give Villains for Hire a shot. I think Villains...
still Abnett and Lanning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Villains can work for me as a miniseries. Just can't give a villain his own title. That never works for me so much. The villain's kind of a one-trick pony. I eventually want to see him get punched in the mouth by the hero. the villain has to lose to the hero. I can't read a book about the villain for so long.
Like Paul Cornell's Lex Luthor story eventually ended and went back to Superman.
Yes. But it was 8 great issues or whatever it was. Then Chew 22. I really like this book.
Yeah.
Things are brewing where they've got his daughter. They may not need Tony Chew anymore. By they, the powers that be. You've got his old partner, the other FDA guy whose name I'm drawing a blank on at the moment. But should be interesting. There are 2 different covers. One that reflect each other. One where Tony's getting the snot kicked out of him, and one where his daughter is being fed, something. Basically they're trying to be nice to her. And but we shall see this. What part of this? We're part 2 of 5 in Major League Chew. Yeah. So we're just the intro. We're going to get in a little more in this issue. Next up, we've got the bag promoting issue of Spider-Man.
Is there a piece of paper on the back again this time? No paper.
No paper. They must have figured out another way to do the digital codes.
They printed a darker cover on the back.
I don't really want to promote something that's trying to take business, but I don't know what it is. They were going to charge $3.99 for this book anyway, and they're giving the digital code for free.
Right.
I don't know if they're now trying to steal our business through digital, but Rich Johnson was talking today. Marvel's announcing some promotion where they're going to give you a $5 coupon to your local retailer if you buy something digitally.
If you buy digital, you'll get a coupon, $5 for $5 off. So yeah.
So they're they're trying to get people into the stores. So, but this Avenging Spider-Man is essentially the Marvel Team Up book. It's just not called Marvel Team Up, but it's Spider-Man and Guest. And it's been, I believe, Red Hulk for the last 2 issues.
Yeah.
Wasn't, see, the thing about the Marvel Team Up was it was 1 issue. In there?
Well, not always. Not always. They had longer stories. It would just be a different character on that. Different official Team Up.
My favorite Marvel Team Up was during Assistant Editors Month.
Yeah.
Aunt May and Franklin Richards. Aunt May becomes a Herald of Galactus. Finds a galactic Twinkie baker and feeds Galactus with a Twinkie planet.
Yeah, a Twinkie planet.
That was pretty awesome.
My favorite was Spider-Man and the Not Ready for Primetime Players.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was a good one.
That is a good one. That's the bulk of my stack. What are you looking at over there?
Well, I'm starting off with my Scott Snyder pick, Swamp Thing number 4.
Great cover.
Great cover. Actually, all of these Swamp Things have had great covers.
Oh, yeah.
And pretty solid
art. Is Yannick
art.
Paquette still doing the art?
Yannick Paquette, although in the last issue, they had someone come in for a fill-in for part of it. I think, actually, this one has a different person.
Okay.
I think 6 issues in a row with the same artist is going to be a rarity in the new DC because they're committed to getting these out. Not just on time in a monthly sense, but getting everything out in the same week that they're supposed to. So that's going to mean a lot of fill-ins. I think we're just going to have to get used to that. But Swamp Thing, solid series. We've mentioned many times. I've also got Animal Man. These 2 really are very similar. They're both characters that started off as fairly mainstream stuff, then migrated over and became Vertigo characters, and then have come back, although Animal Man came back many years earlier. These books are going to cross over. They're already laying the seeds for the green and the red.
Mentioning each other a bit.
I wonder if green and red are going to get together for Christmas. I don't know. And Animal Man, again, this has been really solid. I was not as keen on the first issue, mostly because of the art, but I thought it felt a little rushed. I think that the subsequent issues, the art has improved significantly without having to switch to a new artist. So maybe they just got a slower start than some of the other books. I don't know. Again, a fantastic cover. I mean, this is just a horrifying creature on here.
I read that issue. That's the only thing I did get to read. And it was pretty awesome. I mean, again, they're building a crazy story. He's not pulling any punches at all. I mean, this book is weird, creepy. It's a horror comic.
Now, and the reason I kind of lump these 2 together is I do like them both a lot. They're both among my favorites of the New 52. I do have a problem with both of them, though the problem is more me than the book. But other people might have
your breakup speech.
No.
Listen, Animal Man,
we're staying together.
It's not you guys.
But I'm a huge fan of both of these books, franchises. I have every issue of Animal Man. I have all of the original, at least the second series of Swamp Thing, Saga of the Swamp Thing from from Marty Pasco up to Grant Morrison. I tried it when they switched it over to Swamp Thing's daughter. I couldn't get into it. Couldn't get into the Andy Diggle book either. So I've loved both of these concepts.
Imagine that. You couldn't get into a book by Andy Diggle?
Yeah, I've liked some of Diggle stuff, just not Daredevil.
And you stopped reading Swamp Thing.
But, yeah, that did stop me from reading Swamp Thing until Scott Snyder. So, if you're someone who loved those stories and really loved the continuity and the character growth and things like that, like much of the New 52, that stuff's not really applies here. A lot of the stuff that's going on, like Animal Man, it seems like most of the Vertigo stuff didn't happen. With Swamp Thing, it looks like they're keeping Alan Moore in continuity, but a lot of the stuff, the Doug Wheeler stuff, the Nancy Collins, the Grant Morrison stuff, all that stuff seems to be gone. If you have a strong attachment to that like I do, you have a tougher time looking at this going, no, that contradicts what happened in issue 132. So if you're that kind of guy, you're going to have a little bit of trouble with this. But if you're not that kind of guy, or if you're like me, you're trying not to be that kind of guy, or if, as most people, nobody read those books.
That's going to be a problem you're going to have with the New 52 in general if you're that kind of guy. I
mean,
there's nothing you can do about that. And I think those books have been, both of those books have been great, fun reads.
They've been great stuff, but if you're coming to these expecting a continuation
you're not going to get it.
You're not going to get it, although, I mean, it's certainly these are closer to their source material than a lot of... It's like if you love Green Arrow with a hood who's an urban vigilante... and who's older and lived in Seattle, and if you love that whole arc, and a lot of people did, you're going to hate this Green Arrow book. But then again, by the end of the run, there's probably only a few thousand people who thought that way. So,
but JT Carl's not in the book anymore.
Yeah, so it might get better. Who knows? Next up, Red Lanterns. This has been an interesting book. It's got a different tone than a regular superhero book because of Peter Milligan. So I still don't really know.
And they're not really heroes.
They're not heroes, but they're not villains. They're just they're rage monsters. They're Red Lanterns.
Ill-intended always.
So I'm not really sure what the end game is, what's going on here, but I really do like it. I think it's expanding the Green Lantern mythology in directions that it hasn't been before because this is a whole other side of this kind of emotional spectrum.
I do like that.
So yeah, for the moment, this is actually really solid because it is a very different tone, and because really Peter Milligan is doing a great job writing what should be a dumb one-note character and giving him a lot of depth. Next up, Action Comics, as I've said before, my favorite of the New 52 because I really like Superman in jeans. This issue is just continuing that kind of first storyline with Superman and Lex Luthor.
And the introduction of Steel.
It looks like it's got Metallo in it and Steel in it and, apparently a very interesting take on Brainiac.
Awesome.
That's all I'm going to say. Awesome. So, yeah, this is, we're getting basically a brand new Superman. Yeah, I mean, it much like Swamp Thing, this is not the Superman that existed really outside of the first couple of years of Action Comics. And even though I was a big fan of Superman, I actually... Maybe it's because, where Superman left off was Straczynski, and Swamp Thing left off with Grant Morrison. So one it ended happy, the other it ended unhappy. So really anything on Superman is going to make me happy at this point. But again, great book. If
and that's the Superman you've got. I mean, you can't complain too much. I remember when they closed Tiger Stadium. They were opening up Comerica Park.
Yeah.
Wasn't happy about it. But you know what? I've been to a lot of games in Comerica Park, and I like it. It's all right. It's a nice ballpark, and guess what? There aren't going to be any more games at Tiger Stadium. There's nothing I can do about it. Doesn't matter. They plowed the thing down. Yep. Now, of course, they could always bring back the old Superman if they want to.
They could.
But again, this is what you've got. So I like it.
Good stuff.
I'm enjoying it.
Next up is Irredeemable. Last couple issues of this really picked up
again.
I was saying I wanted some Endgame. Well, in this issue, actually there's
Redemption,
there's a crossover apparently with Incorruptible, and I'm hoping I don't need to pick up the Incorruptible issues. But this issue is the origin of the Plutonian.
All right.
We find out who he is. We met his parents in the last issue, and I used parents. So yeah, we're gonna find some stuff out. Now here we are, 3 years after it began. We're finally getting some answers, and And so far, they've been pretty interesting answers. And there's been some clever twists. So Irredeemable has bumped from the bottom of my stack back up closer to the top.
All right.
Next up, Cold War, the Damocles Contract. This is a John Byrne book. I picked this up sight unseen. I didn't really know anything about it other than it was John Byrne. And it's basically a 60s spy movie.
Okay.
It's set in England. And it's got, a dashing, handsome super spy main character that tries to have sex with every woman that he sees. He's got his superiors who are always upset about what he's doing. It's got communists. It's got the rocket program. It's got defecting scientists. Pretty much what you'd expect to see in a good 60s spy thriller. John Byrne's artwork is really solid.
He's gotten pretty good again.
He's tightened up a lot. I mean, this is
a period where I thought he was a little off, but
and like he's actually done a really good job. He always had a problem with really only having like a couple of faces. Yeah. But you can kind of, as you're flipping through this, you can kind of almost see the actors he's modeling some of these characters on, as if he actually cast this from old 60s
although
movies.
His main dude on the front kind of looks a lot like Reed Richards without pepper graying his hair.
Yeah, well, see, he has thicker eyebrows. That's
how
you can tell. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not saying John Byrne is pulling an Alex Ross here. There's a few people who don't look like John Byrne faces. But anyway, it's still a solid book if you like John Byrne and if you like that kind of 60s spy movie thing, which I'm not necessarily a big fan of. It's not very James Bondy and it's not gadget heavy. It's probably a little bit more like almost more like a TV show because it is very episodic. Next up, Hellblazer Annual. This is Peter Milligan and Simon Bisley. I love Simon Bisley's work on this book. This has just been a great book. I've got about 4 issues behind recently. I caught up all in one sitting, and it's a great read. And Peter Milligan has become one of the best writers to ever work on this book. And that's saying a lot because
it's been on it for a while, right?
A couple of years, and he's really made it his own. Without contradicting anything that's gone before, this book has, over the 250 plus issues, really has had a consistent tone. The character has grown and changed and evolved. It's a fantastic book. I can't recommend it, more. I recommend it to anybody who really likes horror movies and lead characters who are kind of assholes. If you like all that, you'll like Hellblazer. Next up, Amazing Spider-Man. We get the Vulture back, the real Vulture, not the freaky guy with the freaky mouth.
Adrian Toomes.
Adrian Toomes is back. He's got minions. He's got other people. Because, Adrian's an old man.
He's old.
So if he found himself some kids to do the dirty work, that's pretty smart. But, it's always nice to see a classic Spider-Man villain come back. This is, again, it's Dan Slott who's been doing a great job on the book. Giuseppe Camuncoli, who strangely was a Hellblazer artist for a while, and I think is known more for his Vertigo stuff, but he's been doing some mainstream Marvel stuff lately too. Great stuff. Next up, Moon Knight, another book that I kind of let myself get behind on when I caught up. This is a really good book.
I'm a bit behind on that too.
This is, if someone points out that he's crazy, because he's seeing all of these people, and his response is, well, we're a bunch of people who dress up in costumes and go out and fight bad guys. I think we're all crazy. He's got a point.
He does.
But it's very interesting. Count Nefaria.
Yeah, but you know what? You shouldn't punch old ladies. You're short. Okay, I'm short, but you still shouldn't punch old ladies.
Well, yeah, he's crazier than the rest. But he's still crazy. There's actually a great scene in there where the Avengers show up for real. And he's there talking to Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Captain America, and then at the very end you realize that while he's talking to the real Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Captain America, his hallucination Spider-Man, Captain America, Wolverine are behind him. So he's even kind of like, now are you guys real?
Now who are you guys?
But it's a good book. It's fun. It's a very different kind of superhero book because the lead character is doesn't have all his marbles. But there's Ultrons, there's Count Nefaria.
All right.
It's good stuff. So that's my stack.
All right. Well, now the top of my stack here is a book that I've been enjoying here.
You've been singing the praises of this all along.
It's really, really fun. Issue 3 of 6, The Strange Talent of Luther Strode. It's crazy. This book is nuts. Our main character Luther is kind of a weak kid, gets picked on by bullies and such. dreams about getting the girl and never does, and he decides to order essentially one of those Charles Atlas books. And suddenly he's the next morning he's got super quick reflexes, and he's strong, and he's having these crazy violent visions. But he holds back on it, doesn't do anything. There may be some intervention with aliens. Great book though, just fun. I mean, there's some flashes forward and some things, not entirely sure what's going on. But this book is crazy and violent, but the art is cartoony. Definitely not a kid's book, even though it looks cartoony. But really, just a fun book. I'm having a great time with it. Anyone who likes Invincible and Kick-Ass and some of those kinds of books will, I think, really like The Strange Talent of Luther Strode.
Cool.
That's my top pick.
My top pick from Marvel is Defenders #1 by Matt Fraction and the Dodsons. Matt Fraction's gotten a lot of flack over Fear Itself, but he's still done some great stuff. I think he's not a good event writer. I mean, I didn't have as many problems as Fear Itself as a lot of people did. Again, I just don't think that he was the right guy for it. I think of him kind of as Grant Morrison, and Grant Morrison kind of fumbled it on Final Crisis. But then when he's writing a book like Batman and Robin, that was his redemption for Final Crisis.
Okay.
I'm hoping that this is his Batman and Robin. Because I've always loved the Defenders. When I was young, the Defenders I preferred to the Avengers.
I don't know about those costumes, though.
I don't like Doctor Strange's new costume, but I'll cut it some slack. And the Hulk isn't in this, although the Hulk is kind of the reason for this happening. It picks up a plot thread from Fear Itself, but that's really just kind of what gets it going. The demon that possessed the Hulk, or the creature, the entity, instead of vanishing at the end, has been freed in the world, and the Hulk feels responsible for it. He gathers up his old buddies and says, "Hey, I need you to get this guy for me." So you got the Red She-Hulk in there, so that kind of fits your Hulk. You've got Doctor Strange, you've got the Silver Surfer, you've got the Submariner, which now means he's on 2 teams, so he's well on his way to be the next Wolverine. And Iron Fist.
But he doesn't have his own book.
He doesn't have his own book, but he can be in 2 teams. And Iron Fist, who Matt Fraction did a fantastic job writing. So, I think
Brubaker did most of the heavy lifting on that.
Brubaker has said he did not. That it was mostly Fraction, that he was just kind of more editing it than writing it. So I'll give it a shot. Plus, one of the things that's interesting on this book, for people who may kind of know a little bit more about comic process, this is being done what's called Marvel style, which is Fraction does not write a script.
Okay.
He develops a plot with the artist Terry Dodson. Dodson, he might have dialogue, he might have some stuff, but Dodson then goes and breaks it down page-wise, does the layouts, gives it back to Fraction. Fraction does the dialogue. This was the method invented by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby because it's actually a lot faster for the writer. This sort of fell out of favor at the end of the 90s because that's certainly the way the Image books were done. We're kind of more writer-centric now. But one of the things that tends to do is it tends to put the pacing in the hands of the artist and not the writer. And a lot of Fraction's problems are that kind of slow glacial pacing and maybe being a little too wordy. You don't tend to get that on a lot of books where the artist is breaking it down. So I'm curious to see how this works. I mean, it could fail. Maybe Fraction can't write that way. But certainly the Marvel comics of years past had a lot more speed and punch to them. And I think a lot of
characters punching each other.
And a lot more of that because the artist can go, what would work here? I think these guys should be punching.
Absolutely. Superheroes should be punching each other.
So hopefully there's more punching because a lot of guys, Iron Fist, that's his whole gig is punching things, isn't it? You got Hulks, you got Iron Fist.
Like unto a thing of iron.
See? So, unfortunately, though, as I'm flipping through this, I'm not seeing a lot of punching. I'm seeing a lot of talking. That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Actually, no punching. Well, there's a sword. That's good.
Enough of that jibba jabba.
But yeah, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to it the most. I just hope I'm not disappointed.
Well, we shall see.
Yep.
Well, I think with that is your Week in Geek.